The Colonial Williamsburg Fifes and Drums tells the modern audience how the military used communication on and off the battlefield through music. In the 18th century, fifers and drummers were men and boys between the ages of 10 and maybe even up to 65. In the Continental Army, these were 10 to 16-year-olds, as they were the ones who were not yet eligible to bear arms. Oftentimes, fifers and drummers, once they turned 16, might make the decision to be under arms and abandon their instrument and allow somebody else to take up their instrument in their place. Music in the 18th century was for entertainment purposes, but with the fifers and drummers, it had purpose beyond just simply entertainment. It was also used as a means of communication. Many fifers and drummers, when they joined an army, were not necessarily adept at playing an instrument at the time.
In the 18th century, there was no apprenticeship program. Fife majors and drum majors were the officers appointed to instruct the younger fifers and drummers and teach them their craft. The Colonial Williamsburg Fifes and Drums interpret the Virginia State Garrison Regiment and civilians before the American Revolution started. Fifers and drummers learned very differently. Fifers are lucky enough to have plenty of written music, both at the time and still existing. They learn some scales, some basic musical building blocks, and then they're able to start learning tunes and communicating those tunes through writing.
A young drummer would start out by learning rudiments. These are very short, simple beatings that are often played the way that they sound. Once a drummer learned and mastered these various rudiments, they would be able to string them together to form full beatings that they could use to accompany tunes. As the drummer learned these, they would become more proficient and then able to execute their duties playing various duty calls such as dinner call or the reveille, which is the call to wake up.
Modern fife and drum operates very differently than 18th century fife and drum. For one, it's a lot larger. The image that we get of large groups of fifers and drummers marching down the street comes from the modern era.
You can see a lot of influence from that time period, even in modern music. A lot of the songs that we play are actually campfire songs that might be familiar to you. If you think about it, we actually have very specific purposes for a lot of music now. When you think of a graduation, a wedding, a funeral, it's the same as it was in the 18th century. Every morning you would wake up with a reveille. In the evening you would have a more relaxing sounding song to end the workday and even to end the evening altogether. You see fife and drum corps throughout the country today, primarily focused in New England, but you also see how black communities in Mississippi adopted fife and drum music and incorporated into blues music as well. The style of playing has carried through from the fifers and drummers all the way through into military bands, marching bands, drum and bugle corps, and various other styles of music. By learning about this 18th century music, we can better understand how it evolved and how it came to create the music that we see today. Music then, as now, has purpose and evokes emotion and evokes certain responses in people. It's for this reason that it's important that we preserve the music of the fifes and drums from the 18th century even now.